What's going on, you guys? Welcome back. Welcome back to JP Visual Voices. That's right, that's JP Visual Voices, and I'm your host, Ouija. So, welcome back. And for the people that's just joining us today, welcome to this new episode, to our second episode of this podcast. To the people that's actually listened to the intro, I appreciate it and welcome back. So, like I said on the intro, on a previous video, basically, this is mainly a photography podcast for like beginners, for anybody who's looking into getting started into the photography world. So this podcast is the right place for you to be. And then the ideal of this podcast is not necessarily for me to like let you know about the cameras, the gears, like regular I would do regular YouTube videos. But the ideal of this podcast is to exactly let you know what's going on behind the scenes, like the stuff they don't tell you about, the amount of money that you have to keep in mind that you might be spending, the time that you will not have with your loved ones. You get what I'm saying? So, just keep all that in mind. And then also in the future, I will be having vendors, other photographers, videographers, to let y'all know the journey into this photography world. All right. So, again, welcome back. Y'all already know the name, but, well, not really. I'm sure soon enough you guys will know the name, but for now it's Ouija. Remember, Ouija like a Ouija board. Widjy, like a Ouija board. Every time I tell people my name, they're like a Ouija board? I'm like, yeah. Yeah, we'll just go with that. It spells different, which surprised me actually. But we'll get into that conversation. But yeah, the name is Ouija for the people that cares. So basically, the question of today is how to get started with photography. That's the $1 million question. Like the people said, no, not really million. That's the maybe $4,000 or $5,000 questions, right? How do you get started in photography? Well, the answer is simple. You just start. But after a few days, after a few months, it's not that simple. All right. Let me give you a backstory real quick. So the way that I got started in my photography journey is people used to always call me to take pictures for them. Wherever we go, we at a party, wherever we go, they'll ask me, hey, can you take a few pictures for us? And then the way I would take it, people always like, oh man, you good. Are you a photographer? Are you a professional? I'm like, nah, just, with a cell phone. I didn't have no camera or nothing like that. Until, fast forward until one day, my best friend was pregnant, and then she asked me to do her maternity photos. When I asked her like why, and she said, she called a few photographers around the town. Mind you, we're in Florida, so it's expensive. She called a few people, and they telling her like it's gonna be a good maybe like 350, 500 for some maternity shoot. And then she was not having it, so she said, nah, hell no. She ain't gonna book with this people. So she said, since you good at taking photos, how about we go to Walmart and we buy a camera, we take the photos, we keep the memory card, and then we return the camera. I told her, wait, is that even okay? Is that a legal thing to do or something like that? She said, listen, people do it, they buy the camera. If they don't like it, they return it. I'm like, you know what? You're right. So we went to Walmart and we bought the camera. It was a regular, I think it was a Samsung point and shoot camera, right? So we took it out. We took a few photos here and there, And then we didn't like, I guess we didn't like the camera, so we returned it. We kept the memory card because the memory card, that's why we really needed, in the first place. But we took the photos. I took the photos as best as I could, right? It was at the beach. There was no setup. There was no nothing. I didn't know nothing about golden hour. I didn't know nothing about nothing, right? So we took the camera, we take the pictures. So now it's time to edit them. Mind you, I'm brand new to photography, so I don't have a way for me to edit these photos. So I just have them there, just sitting there on the computer, right? So until one day I'm like, you know what? Let me go to YouTube, which I call U College, right? So let me go to YouTube. Let me see how can I edit these photos to make it look a little better. Because at that time, filters wasn't all popping and crazy like that. There was no, I think Snapchat was probably just coming out, maybe 5, 6 years ago. I don't remember. But so yeah, we went in there, and then I went online. I went on YouTube at first, look it up, some software to edit, and then I find out about Lightroom. I always heard about Photoshop, but I never knew it was like a photography application, right? A lot of people you hear about Photoshop, you don't, unless well, now you might know, but you don't really think it's a photography thing because you think it's like you can do whatever with Photoshop as long as back then it was all about the coding and this and that. So I learned from YouTube about Lightroom. And so I decided to sign up. I think they had a 15-day or 30-day free trial. So I signed up with Lightroom, and then I put the pictures in there. Again, there were JPEG. There was no raw files. There's no nothing like this. It was just something that you would normally do. So I started playing around with the photos, right? Mind you, the way that I learned is that when the best way for you to know how to edit, you have to push the slider all the way to the right and then all the way to the left, and then see what it does. So what I did is I went to Lightroom. I put all the files. I push all the slider to the right, and then I see the exposure, like it got super bright. I push it down, it got super dark. So now I have an idea. Okay, this is what exposure do. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I did not know the difference between the highlight and the white. I couldn't see what exactly it was doing because when I push it down, I couldn't really tell it was doing something to the photo. You know what I'm saying? So basically, I played around it and I did the best that I could, and then I delivered the photos. Now, the few people that seen these pictures, they was like, "Oh man, these files, they good, they look good, blase blase. You should be a photographer." Da da da. I was like, I don't know. They're like, "Yeah, you good, you did this, you can make money off of it." I'm like, you know what? Let me look into it. So again, I went back to U College, YouTube. That's where we learn everything. We don't get me wrong. That's where we learn every single thing we know. So I went back to YouTube and I started learning about photography, learning about gears to start with. As I'm learning about Lightroom with the files that I have, I'm just, moving around, doing different things, learning about presets and all of that. So I got to a conclusion where I decided that I'm going to just go ahead and get a camera. And mind you, I was working a minimum wage job at the moment. And so I had to save up everything, dollar per dollar for me to get it. So I ended up going to BrandSmart one day. And then I was looking, there was a guy that was working in the camera department. I was telling him, he was telling me this is what he's shooting with. He was shooting at a Nikon at the moment. He's telling me, yeah, this is a good camera to start. This is a good camera. So I don't have any money, nor did I have any credit. Right? Yeah, I messed up my credit early on. But that's not the podcast for this. So at BrainSmart, they had a program. I don't know if they still have it, but they had a program where you can buy it and then make payments. And then it's not based on your credit, it's based on you having a job and they making sure that you can pay them every 2 weeks. So I applied for the program and then I got approved. Now, if any of you guys can guess what I bought as my first camera, which a lot of people start with, then I have a prize for you in one of these future episodes. So that's your homework right now. If you interested, if you made it so far, I mean you interested, right? So make a guess, leave a comment, let me know or DM me or whatever. Let me know your guess. And then in the next few episodes, I'll let you know if you got it right or not. So basically, I got my first camera with a kit lens. Now I have a camera with a kit lens, right? So mind you, I don't have any experience. I don't know anybody. I don't know nothing. So I'm just moving around, just doing what I think is best. So I'm taking pictures of cars, trees, animals. I'm taking pictures of squirrels. Or that I couldn't get no birds, obviously. But I'm taking pictures of squirrels and all that. So I'm like, okay, they nice. They nice. The lenses that I had was like a 3.5 to 6 point something, I forgot, for the aperture. We'll get to aperture, shutter speed, ISO and all that. But for now, it doesn't matter for you guys, for some of you guys. So yeah, I'm taking pictures. I'm taking pictures of everything. And then I realized at night, I can't really take the pictures that I like because it's too dark or it looks weird or it looks grainy. You feel me? So, because the only thing I had was the little pop up flash on top of the camera. That's another clue, so you guys can make a guess right there. So, yeah, I only had the pop up flash on top of the camera. And at night, at night, they don't look the same. And especially according to YouTube, I'm looking at the shadows on the wall. I'm looking at how the light is hitting them on their faces. I'm like, that's not what YouTube said they're supposed to look like. So I'm still doing research and doing research and doing research, right? So I got my first camera on a budget. And then few months go by, I'm starting to do free gigs and all of that. And eventually somebody paid me like $25 for a photo shoot, which I thought was good because, I'm making money now. Somebody else paid me $50 for another one. I'm like, I bet. I see it coming through. You know what I mean? That person referred another person and I got another gig. So again, according to YouTube, I bought my first lens, which is the Nifty 50 from Canon. So I bought the first lens, which is the 50mm f1.8. And now I'm like, okay, now I'm doing the thing. You know what I mean? I'm doing my thing right now because I got a good lens. In my mind, I got a good camera, so we good. We rolling. And daytime, I'm taking banger photos, man. Everything looks nice, background blurry, everything, man. I'm like, okay, this what it's supposed to look like. I'm getting happy and all that until it comes to nighttime again. I can't do nothing because I still got the little pop-up flash on top of the camera. So upon doing all of the research, then everybody was saying that, oh, this is what you need. You need an actual flash to put on top of the camera. The flash can communicate with the camera, and then now you can bounce it up on the ceiling or you can bounce it, to the side or behind you. It looks better. So I was like, bet. And then I saved some more money. I got my first newer, I don't know how to say it, newer flashlight um for like maybe what, $50 at the moment, $50, $75 or something like that. And then now I'm like, okay, you know what? I got the Nifty 50. I got a flash, so I'm good. And then that's, long story short, that's how my story started. You know what I'm saying? I'm not necessarily saying that's how you will start, but that's how I started. Again, going back to the question from the beginning, how to start. Well, the very first thing is to start with whatever you have. The phones nowadays look a lot better than the phones back then. And a lot of you guys have iPhones and Samsungs and all of that. They take good photos. I would start with that. Now, if you're one of them people that like, you know what, I want a more professional camera. There's a few cameras to start with. There's a few brands to start with. And there's a few things. I feel like it's cheaper now than it was for me when I started my journey. But again, it could be me because I probably, have better job or better paying or whatnot. Feel like it's cheaper, but I think it's cheaper, right? So the answer to your question is to start from what you have, whatever you have, and then eventually get you a low budget beginner camera, right? It all depends on your budget. But again, we'll talk about that on the next episode to, depends on your budget, what you can get. But start with something low key. The very first thing I would really, really focus on, which is something that if you purchase a good one time, once, you never have to worry about that ever again, which is a flashlight. The one that you put on top of the camera. You invest in a good one, you set. You good. There ain't no more upgrade unless it's broken or it's not working, but that's it. Right? Now, start with whatever you can. You get a cheap camera. There's so many places to get cheaper cameras. You don't need to have it brand new like everybody else. You can buy used lenses. You don't need to have them brand new like everybody else trying to look like, oh yeah, I got all my gears brand new. You know what I mean? So you start with whatever you have and then you eventually you will upgrade. Because one thing I have learned in this journey is you will upgrade every time. Every time you will update and upgrade. There's only one thing I haven't upgraded from is Adobe. When I started with Adobe, with Lightroom, Photoshop. Now I'm just paying for all the apps because I do videos. So it's better for me to pay for everything. So I'm paying for everything. And ever since I started with them, I never left them. It's been 5, 6 years now since I've been doing photos and videos. I haven't left them, not once. So, you know, those are the things once you spend some money on, you'll be good. Again, the biggest focus is start. It's to start. Which for me, I know it's easier said than done. I was been supposed to start this podcast for years and years, different podcast ideas in mind, and I have all the gears. I have this camera, I have that camera, I have a backup camera, I have this mic, I have another mic, I have this light. I got all the stuff for me to been started a podcast, but it's not that easy to just start because there's other things I do on the side. I'm a businessman. Let's just put it like this. Legal businessman. All right. There's a few things I do here and there. But it's just a start. And right now this is the second episode of this podcast, which I'm sure there's a lot more to come. All right. And there's a lot more conversations to be having, I guess. And we'll sit right here. We're gonna be sitting right here with the same setup, and we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk some of you guys, sometimes we're gonna do a one-on-one video call, or one-on-one live or something like that. But we're gonna talk, we're gonna chat. And I wish when I was starting my journey, my photography journey, I had somebody who would tell me the reality of starting a photography business. And I think I would look at it in a different light. You get it? Photography, different light. You get it. But yeah, I would definitely look at it in a different light. Um because there's a lot of gears, there's a lot of stuff that I bought on my beginner days that I'm no longer using now, and it costs money. I spent some money. It feels like every low penny, every dime that I have, I spend it on this, on photography. And this is gonna be you. That is definitely gonna be you soon. Whatever you have, that's one tip to take from this right now. Whatever you think you're spending right now, if you're just getting started on photography, you're gonna spend a lot more. You're gonna spend a lot more until you get to a spot where you're comfortable. Right now, I can say I'm comfortable. Reason I'm saying I'm comfortable is because I don't have the biggest gears, the most expensive ones, but I got the ones that I like. I'll tell you right now. This is the A7 IV, right? Which is a great photography, videography camera. This is which with the lens that I'm currently using is the Samyang 35 to 150. Listen, this is a whole conversation by itself. This lens is a whole entire episode by itself. We'll get to it. But this is a perfect combination for me for whatever I need. 35 for my group shots, for my wide shots. I know it's not wide enough, but 35 is plenty. And 150 is portraits. 85, 150, portraits. And then right here, this is one of the cameras that I bought, which is my A7C. And right now I'm currently using a Sony lens, the Sony 50 millimeter f1.8. So yes, I traded the Canon. Well, I sold the Canon one because I moved from Canon to Sony. And then now I purchased the Sony version. So that's the 50. That's the 35 to 135 from Samyang. But but this is what it is. You know what I mean? It's fun. I can tell you this. It's fun. I have fun. Every time I go do a gig, to me I feel like I'm having fun. These people are just paying me to do what I like to do. Some people do it for the money. I'm not saying I don't do it for the money. Obviously, I spend money, so I like to have some money back, but it's fun. I have fun. Like I can go a whole day talking about photography. I can go a whole day just teaching somebody how to, to do this, to do that. I don't gatekeep. That's I guess that should be the middle name of this podcast because I don't gatekeep. I'm over here. Whatever I learn, whatever I think I know, I'm willing to share it with y'all. If y'all down with me, I'm willing to share it with y'all. With that being said, if you made it this far, especially you, if you made it this far, right? Just there's not much to do. Give me a 5 star. This is I don't even have to tell you this is a small podcast. This is the second episode. So it's definitely nothing compared to anything. This is the second episode. But if you made it this far, that means you probably gained something or you probably enjoy something from here. Let me know. Give it a rating so the algorithm can know and possibly, push it. Put it somewhere. Because this conversation is photography based, but once we get further down, you will realize the rest of the conversations is still have photography related, but it's more expanded. Expanded. Is that even a word? Basically gets wider. You know what I'm saying? An example could be, um, you know, how do you deal with spending all your money on gears when you have a family? So, stuff like this. So yeah, I feel like I've been just, I don't know how long this thing been going. That's the good thing about getting better gears. I don't know how long this camera's been rolling. This camera, that camera, they both been rolling at the same time. I don't know for how long now, but I'm here. I'm trying to refrain myself from talking about different subjects that when we're not there yet. But I'm trying to focus to give you guys some good little tips on how to get started and how, what to get. Again, I'm not going to give you, unless, you text or you want to know specifically, but I'm not here to tell you, hey, get the Canon, get the Sony, get this lens, get that lens, get this flash and that flash. No, that's not the main goal for this podcast. The main thing is for me to tell you, start however you want, because eventually it don't matter what I tell you. Eventually you will learn, and YouTube will help you pick out the best gears. I'm not here to know. Listen, I don't have that type of money. I only know the gears that I know. And eventually I'll let you know which ones that I had and which ones I have now. You already know two of them, but I already know the ones that I know. I don't have the money for me to buy this one, try this one out, it doesn't work out, and then talk about it. Buy the other one, it doesn't work out, talk about it. I don't have that type of money. And it's not gonna work out. Once you will start with one eventually, and a lot of times you will switch to the other one. You could start with Canon, switch to Sony. You could start with Nikon, switch to Canon and Sony. You can start with whoever, eventually probably switch to the next one. So whatever I tell you to buy now to start, it's not gonna help you out. Just buy the cheapest one. That's what I can tell you. Buy the cheapest one. Look at your pocket, figure it out. Can you afford this? And then don't go in debt like I did. Paying this camera double, triple the price because I paid it month to month, and yeah, I paid the price. But don't do like I do. There's too many ways. If you want to know some of the ways you can purchase your first gears, watch the next episode. And for my audio listeners, make sure as soon as this one is done, click on the next one, because I would tell you this is where I bought some of my gears. You know what I mean? And some of them is places that you're probably not even thinking of, right around your house. But again, thank you for listen, sitting here, whatever you're doing, probably bored listening to this, big headed dude just rambling about photography. And that's what this thing is. That's what this whole thing is. So I appreciate you for that. I will always tell you I appreciate you, even at 0 subscribers, 0 listeners, to thousands of listeners and subscribers and viewers, or whatever you want to call it. So I appreciate y'all. Well, this is the end of this episode. I would love to say this episode is brought to you by, but we ain't there yet. I have one sponsorship, but I'm gonna get a few videos in before I started doing that. But yeah, this episode is brought to you by me. Yeah, me. Well, this camera, that camera. I appreciate y'all, and I will see y'all on the next one. Peace.